Sounds rolling.
Okay, Tom, slated. Real slowly. Up you missed. Okay,
Oh.
cut.
Alright.
Cut. Take two.
Tom, slated. Take one. Okay, that previous take was misslated. It was actually take one. Take two.
Hang on, we're coming at you. That previous take.
The previous take, forget everything you've heard so far. The previous take was actually take two. It was misslated. It is actually take two. All right.
So now we're walking into take.
Okay, this next take will be take three. Look for the clap on the great TV monitor. Okay. Okay, slated.
Lights.
We're gonna have to cut it because those eyes are gonna keep going up and down through that thing. So there's your damned video game footage. So we're dealing with pollen over here, which is why everything is yellowish green. That film we transferred from video. It was originally shot on film, and you could hear. I got mustard on me, or maybe that's pollen. You could hear the people recording the sound and trying to slate it. And slating it is basically you're recording the sound separately on a Nagra, a magnetic tape, and you create these sync tones, and you use a clapper to do it, or they were trying to sync it really other ways, and obviously it goes in and out of sync. There's a mistake the guy acknowledges, but a couple of people pointed out that the excuse me yikes that there was no basically flicker or flash, which meant that they were using this with a camera that was adjusted, or the monitor was adjusted in a way that it could sync up better, so you wouldn't get the flicker. So this was probably shot for promotional purposes. There's some talk that this was the Atari 5200, not the 2600. Definitely not the gong 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 gong. 5200 obviously had more processing power, and this was one of the showcase things to make it more like the arcade version. So anyhow, there you go. There's your damn video game footage. I have very little of it. That one I had to pull from the Prelinger archive from back when we transferred it. Over the years, I have transferred some other things. Like there was an Intellivision commercial that was shot in 35 millimeter and featured George Plimpton, and it was shown in theaters. So occasionally I get collectors who have me transfer stuff like that, but it's pretty rare that video games show up. Of course, the one video film that I have that has about video games is a Disney film, and so there you go. Oh, 7800. I forgot about the 7800. Maybe that's what it was. Yeah, okay. Anyways, we're here to watch films and not talk about video games, as I was saying yesterday. So, here's some insects in the garden. Enjoy.
Almost everywhere on Earth, even in a garden like this, we can find many different kinds of plants and animals. Here, we can observe a variety of small animals. Some of them are insects. On a single rosebush, we may find several kinds of insects, such as ants, a green lacewing, a ladybird beetle, and aphids. Aphids are also called plant lice. An aphid is about as large as the head of a pin. These tiny insects get their food by sucking juices from the stems and leaves of plants. But sometimes aphids become food for other insects. Even though many aphids are destroyed in this way, some survive, because aphids reproduce in large numbers. Here, a young aphid is being born. As the tiny aphid leaves its mother, its skin hardens. This hardened outer covering becomes the aphid's skeleton. What other animals have an outer skeleton? Reproduction, such as that of the aphid, is not common among insects. Most insects develop from eggs outside the mother's body. This green lacewing, for example, lays its eggs on the underside of a leaf. To lay its eggs, the lacewing spins a fine thread with a liquid from its body. Then it attaches an egg to the thread. The first stage of the lacewing's development takes place inside the egg. After several days, the egg hatches and a juvenile form, the larva, emerges. How closely does this larva resemble an adult lacewing? Let us watch the lacewing larva as it develops into an adult insect. The larva has specially adapted mouth parts and is able to feed itself as soon as it hatches. How tiny the lacewing larva is compared to an aphid. Yet the larva is able to attack the aphid and feed on it. Although the aphid is much larger in size, it cannot defend itself. The lacewing larva eats and grows rapidly. Soon it has grown many times larger than an aphid. When the larva is fully grown, it is ready to begin a new stage of development. Now the larva attaches itself to a leaf and spins a soft protective covering called a cocoon. Inside the cocoon, the larva will change into a pupa. During this pupal stage, the larva will change into an adult insect. This process of change is called metamorphosis. The word metamorphosis means change. Nearly all insects undergo metamorphosis. If this is an adult lacewing, where are its wings? If we look closely, we can see the wings expand. As the lacewing moves, it pumps body fluid through the veins in its wings, helping to expand the wings to their full size. Soon, the adult lacewing is ready for its first meal of aphids. Nearby, another insect, a ladybird beetle, is laying its eggs. The ladybird beetle also goes through a metamorphosis. Can you recognize the different stages? The ladybird larva is now ready to become a pupa. But instead of spinning a cocoon, the larva curls into a ball, and gradually its outer skin hardens to form a pupal case. This is different from the cocoon spun by the lacewing, but it serves the same function, to protect the developing insect. Later, the adult ladybird beetle emerges from its pupal case. Gradually, the color of its body will change. And for its first meal, what does the ladybird beetle eat? At first, it might seem that aphids serve only as food for other insects. But watch closely, and you will discover that aphids play another role in this community. As they suck plant juices, aphids give off a fluid that serves as food for ants. In exchange for this food, the ants protect aphids from other insects that might be harmful, such as the ladybird beetle. In this way, ants and aphids help each other. Think of other animals that help each other. We have looked closely at a few insects in this tiny community on a rose bush and have found that some insects are plant eaters. Others feed on the plant-eating insects. Some insects are helpful to each other. Some insects, like the aphid, bear young that resemble the parent. But most insects pass through a series of changes called metamorphosis. There are more kinds of insects on Earth than all other kinds of animals. No matter where you live, you can discover many insects and observe their role in the world of living things.
I have more films on aphids than I do on video games. I'll just say that right now. Just so you know. All right, so tomorrow, Katrina, my wife, my partner, is going to be on, and we're going to start the toe tapping tournament. And I'm going to try to sneak some more songs on the list. So this one is on the Telecine. It's part of a series that was made by, it wasn't National Film Board of Canada, I don't think. It might have been. But these were distributed in the United States to be shown on television as little blips, little PSAs, little instructional things on like how awesome it is to visit Canada. So that's what this is. So this is Televisit Squid Jigging. Maybe this has a toe tapping song. Let's find out. Enjoy.
It's late summer in Newfoundland, and the fishermen are out in force to catch the short-finned squid that they use as bait for cod fishing. The process of catching them, squid jigging, is celebrated in one of Newfoundland's best-known songs.
Oh, this is the place where the fishermen gather with oilskins and boots and capons battened down. All sizes of figures with squid lines and jiggers, they congregate here on the squid jigging ground. Some are working their jiggers while others are yarning. There's some standing up and there's more lying down, while all kinds of fun jokes and tricks are begun as they wait for the squid on the squid jigging ground. God bless my sou'wester, their skipper John Chaffee. He's the best man at squid jigging here, I'll be bound. Hello, what's the row? Why, he's jigging one now, the very first squid on the squid jigging ground. Holy smoke, what a scuffle, all hands are excited. 'Tis a wonder to me that nobody is drowned. There's a bustle, confusion, a wonderful hustle. They're all jigging squids on the squid jigging ground. There's poor Uncle Billy, his whiskers are spattered with spots of the squid juice that's flying around. One poor little boy got it right in the eye, but they don't care a hang on the squid jigging ground. Says Bobby the squid are on top of the water, I just got me jigger about 1 fathom down, when a squid in the boat squirted right down his throat, and he's swearing like mad on the squid jigging ground. Now, if you ever feel inclined to go squidding, leave your white shirts and collars behind in the town. And if you get cranky without your silk hanky, you'd better steer clear of the squid jigging ground.
All right, so that was National Film Board of Canada. I don't know, is that a... There seems to be reasons to vote for it and some reasons not to vote for it. It is... I mean, it's definitely a song, and it's about squid jigging. So maybe that's something... I don't know. Tell me in the comments if you think this is a good... toe-tapping tournament contender. I have one more that I'm going to thread up that we will watch as soon as we discover fractions. Enjoy.
Making things out of wood is a lot of fun. Jimmy and his father are going to make a cabinet out of these two boards. It will be a simple cabinet. It will have two sides and 4 shelves. Father says they will use one board for the 2 sides and the other board for the 4 shelves. So the first thing to do is to cut one board into halves. Cut it into halves. Jimmy has been studying fractions in school, and they aren't too easy. What is 1/2 anyway? His father will be glad to explain. To get 1/2 of anything, you divide that thing into 2 equal parts. To get 1/2 of this board, Father measures the whole length, 8 feet. Since 8 divided by 2 is 4, each part will be 4 feet long. Now, when the board is cut into these 2 equal parts, each part is 1/2 of the board. Now Jimmy is beginning to get the idea. He's often used the expression 1/2, but now he realizes that 1/2 means 1 of 2 equal parts of something. This idea of equal parts is the important idea in fractions, as Jimmy learned. Now, to make the 4 shelves, Father will divide this board into 4 equal parts. And each part will be a fraction of the whole board. There are the 4 pieces, all equal parts of the original board. What fraction of the original board is each of these pieces? Well, let's see. When a board is divided into 2 equal parts, each part is 1/2, which we write as 1/2. So, when a thing is divided into 4 equal parts, each part must be 1 over how many? That's right, 1/4, or 1/4. Each of these pieces is 1/4 of the original board. The 1 tells us that we are talking about 1 of the equal parts. The 4 tells us that the whole board was divided into 4 equal parts. In any fraction, the number above the line tells how many equal parts are considered. The number below the line tells the total number of equal parts into which the whole thing was divided. We can divide anything into equal parts, or fractions. Take a ruler, for instance. Here the ruler is divided into 12 equal parts. Each part is, of course, 1/12 of the ruler. If we take 2 of the equal parts, we get the fraction 2/12. The 2 tells us that we are considering 2 of the equal parts. The 12 reminds us that the whole ruler was divided into 12 equal parts. And if we take 3 of those equal parts, we get what fraction? Of course, 3/12. You see, fractions, like other numbers, can be added together. Yes, anything can be divided into equal parts to make fractions. A board or a ruler, or this apple. And by the way, whenever you think of a fraction, like 1/2 of an apple, you should remember the whole apple from which it came. And 3/4 of a pie is simply 3 of the 4 equal parts that make up the whole pie. Now, while Jimmy was finding out about fractions by working with his father, Jeannie, a classmate, was learning about fractions by helping her sister make a birthday cake. Like Jimmy, she had to divide some things into equal parts. The recipe included various fractions of whole quantities. 1 1/2 cups of sugar, 2 1/4 cups of flour, 2/3 of a cup of milk. Jeannie's sister asked her to measure out the milk. This measuring cup has been marked off into 3 equal parts, so that anyone can measure out 1/3 or 2/3 of a cup. This is 1/3 of a cup. The recipe called for 2/3 of a cup, so Jeannie added another 1/3. This is 2/3 of a cup of milk. Let's remember exactly what this means. When we say 2/3 of a cup, let's think first of the whole, the full cup. This whole cup is divided into 3 equal parts. Each part is 1/3. Remember what the written symbol means? The 1 means that we are considering one of the equal parts, while the 3 means that the whole cup was divided into 3 equal parts. 2/3 means that we are taking two of the 3 equal parts of our whole cup. These two numbers in a fraction have names. The number above the line is called the numerator. Now everybody say it. Numerator. The number below the line is called the denominator. Say it. Denominator. No matter what fraction we have, these two names are always the same. The numerator, remember, tells how many of the equal parts we are thinking about. The denominator tells the total number of equal parts into which the whole thing was divided. Next morning, before Jimmy and Jeannie arrived at school, Freddie, another classmate, was dividing up a box of pencils. Freddie had promised Jimmy and Jeannie that he would share his new pencils with them. He wants to make sure that he divides the 12 pencils into 3 equal parts, so that Jimmy and Jeannie and he will get the same number. So he carefully puts them into 3 parts. Then he makes sure that the 3 parts are all equal. And they are. 4 pencils make up each equal part. But what happens when we divide a thing into equal parts? Of course, we get fractions. When Freddie has divided the whole group of pencils into 3 equal parts, each part is 1/3 of the total number of pencils. 4 pencils are 1/3 of all the pencils, and 8 pencils are 2/3 of all the pencils. And so we can divide any whole thing into equal parts, or fractions. And fractions, as Jimmy learned, can be a real help to us in making things and in solving problems which are apt to come up any day. Yes, understanding exactly what 1/4 is, or what 2/3 means, can bring wonderful results, as Jeannie could tell you. And even knowing what 1/3 of 12 pencils is can give a lot of satisfaction, as Freddie found out, because he wanted to make sure that he and his 2 classmates, Jeannie and Jimmy, would each get an equal share of them. There is much more to learn about fractions, but now, before he forgets, Freddie wants to write down something about fractions for today's lesson. And by the way, since Freddie now has a total of 4 pencils, when he uses 1 to write with, what fraction of all his pencils is he using? Of course, 1/4. You know, so you will understand what Freddie is writing.
the bane of math. That's where some kids just get left behind forever, is fractions. And I feel like I was sick when they started going over fractions, maybe in the 4th grade. And it took me a long time to get back, to figure it out. So it was pretty hard. Okay, so again, we played the Squid jigging televisit episode, which features a very popular Newfoundland song about squid jigging. And I don't know, I got kind of some people were like yes, some people were like no. So would love for you to compare that song to the song that's in this next film, which is kind of a crazy film. It's called Banana, Banana, Banana Slugs. Enjoy.
When I was little, I didn't know much about the world. I used to think that a forest was only trees. Then one day, my friends and I went into the forest. Oh, yuck. It's a yellow banana slug. Oh my gosh, look at all the slime. Look at that tiny baby one. Yeah, I'll pick the baby one up. I'll give it to you, okay? Ah, you can pick it up. Ah, it's slimy. Slimy. Do you get your hands really slimy? No. Oh, good. It's really sticky. Oh, I got one. Ooh, look at this fat one. Fat one. Here's a fat one. Ew! Hey, look it! I'm not even holding it on this one. Ew! Ew, no. He's on my shoe. Where? I'll get him off. Got him. The biggest one in the whole ride. I'll get him to you. No, that's not the biggest one in the whole wide world, Kate, because I saw one this big before. But I saw one this big. They don't bite people, but they do have lots of teeth. They will eat almost anything, even leaves and other slugs. Lift them up. Banana slugs are like snails, but they don't have shells. Shells are good because they keep the snail from drying out, and they protect the snails from birds and other things that eat them. But banana slugs don't have shells. They live in the forest in California, where it's cool and wet, so they have lots of water, and they don't need a shell. They also can change shape. from fat and short to thin and long, so they can get into small cracks where birds can't get them. But most of all, they taste really bad. So even if they get caught, sometimes the birds let them go. That's why they don't need shells, like snails do. Look at his eyeball. His eyeball's out. One, little one and big one, and little one and big one. Little one and little one. Look at it. Big one and big one. Big one. Their eyes are real neat. They're on long tentacles on top. The bottom ones aren't eyes. They're feelers, so it can feel where it's going. Touch his eye. His eyeball is sticking right in. I have to go find one. They all go in when it gets scared, so it won't get hurt. When it's safe, they come out again. And look, there's a hole in the neck. That's where they breathe.
Well, how do you move across the ground? I don't see any legs to carry you around. I see muscles in your belly that ripple up and down. Those muscles in your belly must move you across the ground.
Oh my gosh, look at it. It's wrapping my hand around. Banana slugs don't have feet like we do. They just have a big muscle, like one big foot. They make slime and then slide over it. But when you touch the slime later, it's real sticky. I like their yellow part. No, I like their eyes because their eyes stick out. Me too. I like their head. I like every part of the banana. Me too. Look at his head. Ew, no way. I have enough holding banana slugs and licking them. Yeah. Look at my hands already. I have enough. Look at my hands. I have enough. Look at my hands.
Well, I must be on my way. It's been nice spending time. Just one more question. How do you make that slime? Banana, banana.
It's fun finding things like banana slugs. I wonder if there's other neat things I haven't seen yet. I just hope they aren't as slimy.
Banana slug. Are you an animal or are you a bug?
Can I keep this banana slug? Can I keep this guy? Now where's They go like that. Hey, look at this. My little one flies down here and goes up here and like get off here and get him off. And he goes, woo, all the way down there and he plops in there. Then I put mine down the floor. I found a bug. A different bug. A cell bug, yeah. Look at this big one. I'm in here. Yeah, yeah. Because he wrapped around my finger. He wrapped around my finger. I want to smell the baby. Ew, open this. I'm going to smell the biggest one. Yeah. It's too tasty to me.
So I like that song, but it bugs me that we don't get to hear it. Like anytime that she starts singing lyrics, they're kind of in the background. I mean, I could work on trying to bust those out, bring them more to the forefront, and try to minimize what the kids are saying. But I don't know. What do you think? Is banana slugs? Is that song a toe tapper? Please write in the comments. It's such a weird song. It's such a weird film. It's kind of hilarious. Yeah, anyways, there you go. There's your two toe tappers. The Squid jigging song, which is really popular in Newfoundland, and the banana slug song, which is probably very popular in Santa Cruz, California. Regional songs. All right, let's. What time is it? All right, let's. What do I want to watch? I have so many options. There's so many films to watch here. Let's go ahead and watch Railroad Builders. Enjoy.
Only the crudest means of transportation existed in the American West of the 1850s. The region couldn't be developed unless better ways were found to move people and their goods. The East had faced the same problem a generation before, but the growth of a network of rail lines had solved it. There'd been no particular plan to the construction. The builders of each new line simply tried to link existing towns and live off their commerce. Eventually, the various short sections had merged into a connected system that reached into every corner of the East. A barrier of emptiness kept the rail network from expanding westward in the same way. 1,500 miles of plains and desert and mountains separated the East from our settlements in Oregon and California. A railroad uniting these sections would have to blaze its own trail, create the towns and industries that would support it. The first step would be to select a route, and a survey of 5 possibilities was begun in 1853. Each section of the country knew it could become the gateway to the far west, if only it could force the choice of a route starting from St. Paul, or Chicago, or St. Louis, or Memphis, or New Orleans. A survey couldn't settle this rivalry, but at least the facts could be gathered. We would have our first accurate and systematic look at the region beyond the Missouri River. The parties were instructed to observe and note all the objects which have an immediate or remote bearing upon the railway. It took 3 years to carry out the survey, and even before the work was complete, it was apparent that no route could be chosen. The clash of sectional interests kept the country from reaching a decision. Time was not all that had been wasted. One entire survey group at work in Utah had been wiped out by Indians, and none of the sacrifices that had been made seemed to have brought the goal of a transcontinental railroad any closer to fulfillment. In 1859, a quiet talk between 2 men on the porch of a hotel in Council Bluffs, Iowa, laid the groundwork for future events. One of the men was a civil engineer. He'd had plenty of experience with prairie railroads. The other man, a small-town lawyer, wanted to hear his viewpoint on the best path for a westward railway, the central route along the Platte River. And the engineer was ready to back his opinion with facts and figures. But the lawyer didn't need convincing. Indians and trappers and immigrants picked the same trail. They can't have all been wrong. The two men still remembered their conversation 3 years later. The law that finally authorized the railroad would be signed by the lawyer, Abraham Lincoln, and the engineer, Grenville Dodge, would be in charge of building one section of it. The outbreak of the Civil War ended the sectional stalemate over the railway. The Southerners had withdrawn from Congress. It was possible now to win approval for the central route. The job of building it was so important that it was to go ahead while the war was still on. The first problem was to finance the railway. The venture had to be made attractive to private investors. That wouldn't be easy to do. Many people still thought that a railroad through a wilderness could never be a paying proposition. You can't sell tickets to Indians, and there's nothing to ship but buffalo bones. But the government offered liberal construction loans to get the work started. And as another source of funds, the builders would receive grants of government land which they could resell to settlers. Towns would spring into existence, and there'd be commerce to support the railway. Alternate sections of land, 20 of them per mile, were granted to the railroad. The other sections were held for sale by the government. The plan wasn't perfect. There were scandals later over the way the builders misused their lands and rigged their corporations to make excessive profits. But the big thing was to get the job done. A double assault on the wilderness was planned. A new company, the Union Pacific, was chartered to build westward from Omaha. A California company, the Central Pacific, had been organized to build eastward from Sacramento. The two lines would meet somewhere in the wastelands of Nevada or Utah. Distance and desolation had to be conquered. The railway would be one of the biggest engineering jobs ever tackled. The exact route would need to be plotted in detail. Survey parties, with a military escort to guard against Indian action, ranged out hundreds of miles ahead of the construction camps. Close behind the survey parties were grading and construction gangs. The iron horse would need a smooth and level path. Trestles and bridges were needed even on the flat plains, and it took months of tunneling and blasting to clear a way through the Rockies and the Sierras. Now the track could go down. The railhead pushed onward 3 miles a day. It was heavy work, but there was no waste motion. Men were where they needed to be, and supplies were ready and waiting. Progress had been slow at first. The end of 1865 saw the Union Pacific only 40 miles west of Omaha, and the Central Pacific, with 55 miles built, had barely reached the Sierra foothills. But with the Civil War over, thousands of men drifted west to have a hand in this new adventure. By 1867, the construction had developed into a race between the Union Pacific and the Central Pacific to see which could cover the most ground and assure itself the biggest share of the government loans and grants. The whole nation watched, knowing it would benefit, no matter who won. By now, both lines were building through Indian territory, but no troops guarded them. The Civil War had made many of them as handy with a gun as they were with shovels and picks. Each line needed 8,000 to 10,000 workers and learned to depend on our immigrant population to supply them. Irish laborers turned out to be the backbone of the Union Pacific's force. Many of them also worked on the Central Pacific, but Chinese coolies furnished the biggest share of the Western Line's manpower. At first, no one had thought they could handle such heavy work, but they turned out so well that the Central Pacific was soon contracting for whole shiploads of them to be sent from China. It would be hard to say which crew was the most efficient, but once, to win a $10,000 bet between the rival foremen, a Central Pacific gang laid 10.5 miles of track in a day, a record no one has ever beaten. The completion of the rails didn't mean the struggle was over. Indians fought a steady and desperate delaying action. The coming of soldiers and settlers would end forever the nomad life they'd led. They struck back at the invaders in every way they could, hoping to make the advance of settlement so costly that the white man would yield as he had before. But damage was soon repaired. The Indians had finally been met and defeated on their own ground. The last bitter battles were still to be fought, but every new mile of track made it more certain that the Indians' hold on the West would be broken. Dozens of new towns grew up overnight along the completed right-of-way. A tide of settlement was spreading westward. On May 10th, 1869, the Union Pacific and the Central Pacific met at Promontory Point, Utah. The continent was spanned with rails. It was something to celebrate. Years of sweat and dust and danger had gone into the moment it would take to drive the Golden Spike. It took a while for everyone to realize how much the occasion had meant. There'd be other celebrations. Lines were eventually finished on all the routes laid out in the original survey. But the first railway had set the pattern for the development of the West. The temporary construction camps of the work gangs would grow into towns and cities, where there'd been no towns or cities before. There was land for all, and the railroads wanted to be sure the whole world knew it. They came to the raw new country, settlers from back east, and immigrants from other lands. Some of them were there to stay, and each year they had a little more to show for their hard work. So, in the space of a single lifetime, the West was transformed. By 1890, the U.S. was dotted with towns from coast to coast. The unsettled frontier had ceased to exist. And in this final conquest, the railroad builders had led the way.
around. Wheels are alike because they're round. Round is always round, you see. Round things roll so easily. Wheels can roll so easily. What is a car without its wheels? What is a car without its wheels? Without its wheels, a car can't go. You need 4 wheels so a car can go. There's another wheel called the steering wheel. Dad steers the car with the steering wheel. Steering wheels turn and go around, but not like the wheels that roll on the ground. A bus can go just like a car, and a bus is bigger than a car. A bus can carry so much more. That's what they make big buses for. A wheel is made to turn around. Wheels are alike because they're round. Round is always round, you see. Round things roll so easily. Wheels can roll so easily. A truck is big and can go quite fast. A truck makes noise as it goes past. A truck goes fast or a truck goes slow, depending on just where it goes. A train is big and makes noise too. A train can do things a truck can't do. Blows its whistle as it goes past. A train can travel very fast. A train is big and a truck is big, and they both carry heavy loads. A train has wheels that run on tracks, but a truck is made for roads. When bicycle pedals go up and down, bicycle wheels will turn around. Bicycles are such fun to ride with our friends beside. Wagons are fun to ride into, but wagons can't do things bicycles do. You can't make a wagon wheel go round by stepping on pedals that turn around. Bicycles go and wagons go, but they're certainly not the same. Both of them go in different ways, and they both have different names. A wheel is made to turn around. Wheels are alike because they're round. Round is always round, you see. Round things roll so easily. Wheels can roll so easily. Push is something you can do, pushing things in front of you. When you push, the wheels turn around, turning, rolling on the ground. Pull is a very different thing. Pull is a word for a different thing. Pulling things in back of us. We pull things that are back of us. Push a wagon and push a cart, pushing things in front of us. Pull a wagon and pull a cart, pulling things along with us. A wheel is made to turn around. Wheels are alike because they're round. Round is always round, you see. Round things roll so easily. Wheels can roll so easily.
was Jim Burrows. Of course it was. We know his MO with ACI films and with other entities. He loves doing those vocabulary films, and we have quite a few of those. He did create I think it was Coming Through the Rye, which was a sad song about a kid who got a little phonograph record and it was destroyed by bullies. And of course, Jim Burrows is notorious for his Uncle Smiley series, of which I need to review to see which Uncle Smiley songs we did. Likewise, I need to look and see which Mulligan Stew songs we did, if any. All this has to come together. Tomorrow might be a little bit of a, I don't know. We'll see how it comes out. Because I'm not as well prepared as I was last year. But we need to do it. We need to jump on it because Found Footage Festival has already kind of jumped on it, and I think they're getting down to their final four. If not, they're the finals. But I think we can take them. So I'm reviewing the list of like 20 songs. I got some pretty solid mess from Banana Slugs, and from the Squid jigging film. This one is more what I like, but yeah. Anyways, let's. Boy, my brain's drawing a blank. All that pollen. Thanks for joining me today. We had a mixed bag of stuff. It was kind of hilarious. So come on back tomorrow, and we'll watch some more films. And Katrina will be here, and we will be talking about some toe tapping tournament candidates. Maybe we'll have our first 16 to go through, and we'll do. I don't know how many we'll do. Anyways, if you like what we did, just hit the thumbs up, the like button, whatever little symbol or thing that says, yes, this guy, AV Geeks is okay. They'll pass this time. Not every day is good, but today they'll pass. Even if you've done it in the past, just keep doing it. And you can also go buy us coffee at ko-fi.com/avgeeks. And you can go to avgeeks.com and see all the shows that we've done in the past, and also all the films that we've digitized over the years. It's thousands of films now. So, bye. Everybody have a good rest of your day. Take care.